and be able to be around for some questions and share with the group. So thanks again for your commitment to the return to play, and also thank you again for your commitment for coming on these meetings. Tonight we're going to start off with we're going to get Krista. She wanted to touch base a little bit about the Big Red Raffle that's going on. So Krista.
Unmute myself. So hello, good evening. For those of you that I don't know, so I'm Krista Shields. I'm the Vice President of Development, been with Special Olympics for about 1.5 years. So thank you for letting me spend just a few minutes talking about a really awesome statewide fundraising event we have coming up that we could use your help with. It's the first time we're ever doing this, but many other Special Olympics chapters do it and have had a lot of success. It's called the Big Red Raffle. You may or may not have heard of it. Hopefully you've heard something about it because we've been publicizing it and promoting it for a while now. So it's a raffle. Tickets are $5 each, and there are 5 prizes. They're all cash prizes. We thought that would come in handy these days. So top prize is $5,000. Second prize is $2,500. Third prize is $1,000, and then $500 and $250. And so we're really asking our friends to help be part of our sales force. So our staff is selling. We even have a staff competition going that's getting pretty fun. Our board of directors is selling. Our law enforcement friends are selling. Our agencies, our athletes. And so I just wanted to come on your call tonight to ask if you guys would consider helping us too. Our goal is 13,000 tickets. We're maybe, I want to say we're 1/3 of the way there, maybe not quite. Sales are taking place already, and they're taking place until November 6th. And then there'll be a drawing via Facebook Live on the 20th of November. And there are 3 ways that you can sell tickets. So either the physical tickets themselves, which we have, or you can have contactless options, either by phone or this coupon that you can mail in. So you can email those out or post those on social media, those links to our website. All the information's on our website for folks to learn more about it. And so if you decide to help us sell some tickets, we'd need you to just kind of order some. You don't have to guarantee that you're going to sell a certain number, but if you could, say I'll take 50 or 100 tickets, try and sell them, and then return back what you don't sell. You just have to go through Mark Wolfgram. He'll take your order, and then we'll get them to you. Either we can't mail raffle tickets. There's these things called raffle license laws in Wisconsin, so we can't mail them. So it would have to be a transfer, but we'll figure out how to get them to you. One other small caveat is that it's only in-state sales. You can't sell them to people who don't live in Wisconsin. And I think that's because it's counted as income, and the state of Wisconsin would like to put that, to get some income tax off that deal. So last thing is for you guys and for agencies and for athletes that sell tickets, 15% of those ticket sales will go back to those agencies. And so that's an extra benefit. It's a win-win, if you will. That's all I have. Anyone have any questions? Otherwise, reach out to me, reach out to Mark, your regional staff. We're all fully aware and participating, so we can help facilitate getting tickets or answering questions. Anybody have questions? I hear Jake has already sold quite a few tickets for us, right, Jake? Yep. All right. Well, again, thank you guys for letting me pop in on your fun 7 p.m. meeting. Good luck with the rest of your night.
Thanks, Krista.
Thanks, guys.
And then, Brittany, can you put, just as a reminder, if people need to order tickets, you want to put Mark Wolfgram's email in the chat for everybody. And we can send that information along with our post-meeting information as well. So, so thanks, everybody. And thank you to anybody who's considering helping sell tickets for that. It goes a long ways for again, just being able to provide the mission for everybody. And so any amount helps. And so that's a huge thank you to those who are selling and those who are thinking about it. So, next thing, a reminder, we're actually coming close to wrapping up our fall outdoor sports season. And with that, we do have a 2-day virtual celebration ceremony planned on October 14th and 15th, and that's from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. we are going to have events, like a different event or activity on the hour, every hour between 4 and 8. And so we kind of have a breakdown of what those type of things will be. 4 p.m. on both days, we'll have an activity very similar to our what we did for our athletic director activity hour. So we're looking at doing bingo and scavenger hunt, respectively, on the 2 days. Our 5 p.m. time slot is going to be something health or fitness, and so we'll have a fitness component on Wednesday and a healthy athletes component on Thursday. At 6 p.m. It is an athlete leadership activity. So there's some fun things that the Athlete Input Council has been planning. And then at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, we'll be doing a virtual dance via Zoom. And then on Thursday, we're going to be doing a closing ceremony, similar to kind of what we've done in the past virtually, like we did with summer games. But we'll be doing that to celebrate the accomplishments for everybody who is participating in the fall outdoor season and doing that. One big thing that we could ask of you, if you are in doing stuff in practice or coming out to anything, if you take any pictures of your athletes practicing or competing, if you want to send those in, we can include those in that Thursday night closing ceremony. That'd be greatly appreciated. I'm trying to think the best email address for, I think Tommy would visit the media one. So you can email those to media@SpecialOlympicsWisconsin.org. Mike, I'll get to that in just a second. So if you want to email any pictures or videos or anything like that that you think would be great, and be able to recognize some of the hard work your athletes are putting in, just feel free to send it over to the media email. If it gets sent to the COVID email or to anybody at the staff, we'll for sure forward it on to that as well. So that'd be greatly appreciated. And again, a good way to recognize the athletes that are currently out and practicing and competing. So. And my next thing on the topic, Mike, is that because of the virtual ceremonies, actually probably should put a poll up real quick for this. So our next coaches meeting is planned the same night that we're doing this closing ceremony. And so we would not have a meeting that night. So we are going to ask for what people would prefer of doing it and doing a meeting next week and going every other week starting that time frame, or doing another coaches meeting October 22nd. So essentially going a week later, and then we would start the every other week from that standpoint. And what that also does for either of those options, it makes it so we don't have a meeting scheduled during Thanksgiving. So if people, I don't know if people want to type in what their preference is in the chat, or if anybody wants to share what their preference is, the two options would have been, that would be the 8th or the 22nd. So I see Dan said the 22nd. And the big thing we want to do is make sure that we have another opportunity as bowling season gets started to be able to answer some questions in that time frame. So that's our thought process behind those 2 dates. So far, it's all October 22nd. So I think that's what we'll do. So we'll send out we'll send an updated schedule for as far as that stuff goes. But so we will start again on October 22nd and then go every other week starting that date. So we're going to get on to kind of a different schedule that way. But so we'll include that again with the coaches' email afterwards, and then also update it on our calendar for everybody too. So perfect. So the next topic I wanted to bring up, so it goes along with phasing and stuff going on. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of the increases in cases in the state of Wisconsin for coronavirus. I want to share a resource that we've been looking at. Let me pull this up here. Fortunately, this comes from the Wisconsin Department of Health, and they have they've kind of updated their website and created some things. And we'll share this link as well. I'm promising a lot of things, Brittany, so I hope you're taking notes. We'll share this link as well, but these are some numbers that we are looking at when it comes to decision making and some of these things. the map that that you see right now, it is kind of a combined between two metrics. It's the burden, which if you're not familiar with the burden rate that they use for this, it is the number of cases per 100,000 residents of Wisconsin. So typically, if you're looking at these numbers, that they give you a little bit of a breakdown, but the threshold for being very high is at 350. So right now, across the state of Wisconsin, the burden level is at 511.4. And then the good thing about this map is interactive, and it allows you to click on different counties, and it will actually tell you what the individual county burden rate will be as well. So as you can see, like here, Langadale, wait, wow. So let's go, Marathon County, 461.6 is where they're at. So they're a little bit under state average. And it's all color coded based on the level. And the other part that this map includes is the trajectory. So are cases increasing, staying the same, or shrinking in reference to the burden within the last 2 weeks? So I wanted to show that to you as a reference, because it's something that we're referring to. And also we just want to make sure that you are that you have the information that we're looking at, so you can also make your own informed decisions on what you want to do within your agency as far as practices and goes and all that type of stuff. But I will say we are also looking at here, and we'll send that out afterwards. But we're also looking at having ways to make phasing decisions. And I guess the reminder that we would have with people is that we know there's some agencies that have requested and successfully moved into phase 2, even included during the indoor fall season. And depending on how numbers go and the trajectory and all that type of stuff, we may look at moving people back and saying that everybody's in phase 1, or if things get really bad, back to phase 0. And that's just for us considering the safety of the athletes and trying to use as much data to make those decisions rather than just gut feelings on some of those things. So I wanted to share those things so people have some insight of what we're looking at. Obviously, everybody else is getting information from a variety of different areas. And so I did want to kind of open up for people if they wanted to share what how they're currently feeling with what the way things that Wisconsin numbers are going and how things are going in your community, and what your comfort level is of continuing where you're currently at, or if you have any input on that. So since this is a partnership, we wanted to make sure that agencies had the ability to share what their thoughts are on this type of stuff. So if anybody would like to share, if you have video, you can raise your hand. Otherwise, we can type in the chat too. So I just wanted to open it up to the floor.
Or any athletes.
Yep. Yeah, and Mike Stewart asked me to. Yeah, we will plan on sending the link to the COVID map out with the coach's email. So we have this. But it also, if you just do a general search with the Wisconsin Department of Health, that it pops up pretty quickly on that as well.
That one is listed on our resources on our COVID-19 resource webpage, not the Back to Play one, but that resource webpage on our website is already listed there as well.
And I can also understand if people are hesitant to share it in front of the bigger group. So I will also say that we are also available. That we're also available for if you want to share that opinion and have that into consideration as well. I see Shirley had mentioned that they're fine with staying in phase 1 for now for Team Franklin. Thanks Shirley for sharing. All right. Again, feel free to reach out to us and outside of those type of things, outside of this meeting as well, and we'll definitely consider. The other thing that got brought up within our some emails and some things that are happening are where we do have had a couple of cases of individuals connected to an agency or athletes testing positive. Fortunately, for us right now. I don't believe. I think Nicole said best in something earlier today that we don't have anything where it's been traced to being spread at practice. Just the fact that somebody with COVID may have been at practice or in close contact with people at practice. So I want to take some time to remind people what the protocol would be if you do have an athlete or a coach or volunteer that tests positive. What they do individually, what you should do as an agency. And we also realize as we're coming up with this, that all this information is kind of spread across a couple of different pieces of information between the return to play and the COVID release form and frequently asked questions. And so we are working to put together a one-sheeter so that if you do have that question, we can be able to send it to you so you know what the protocol would be for that. So first off, any individual that's found to have COVID symptoms, we're talking symptoms and not positive at this point, our protocol and what's in the release form, I believe, is they must wait 7 days after symptoms have been resolved, or they can provide a written note from a physician to say that they're clear to come back to practice. And that's for somebody, again, showing symptoms but not testing positive at this point. Individuals who do test positive cannot return to in-person activities until 7 days after symptoms and they get a written note. So if they do test positive, it sounds very similar to symptoms, but again, you would also need the written note, and you can send that to they can send that into the COVID@SpecialOlympicsWisconsin.org email address from that side of things. If an individual has come in contact with somebody with COVID, this calls, everybody who's doing practices has that question of during your screening of have you had contact with somebody within the last 14 days who's had COVID-19, and so that's your rate, your length of time that they would be away from practice would be 14 days. So that would also mean that if you do have an athlete or a coach or a volunteer that goes to a practice and later tests positive, what we are asking for agencies to do is to not practice for 2 weeks. So that gives that entire group an opportunity to let any possible spread kind of stop at that point. So those people, I would say that I know there's a couple agencies that do bowling practices where they have different athletes on different nights. And so if somebody on your Tuesday night bowling tests positive, it doesn't necessarily affect the Thursday night one unless your coaches go back and forth between those groups. So that's something to consider. But if it's something where there's an athlete or a coach at a practice that is testing positive, then your whole program should take that 2-week break. And then Nicole and Michaela, I know we had discussed this because we're going to get to a point here where the bowling league is happening. And I know there's going to be people who are going to be concerned about shutting down practice or having an athlete not show up for practice for an extended period of time and how that would affect their rankings in the league bowling. So there's a solution to that. So I don't know.
Yeah, so based on how the rules are written currently, if an athlete misses a week of league play, the score for that week will be their average at that time minus 10 points. But if it is a COVID-related absence, we are definitely going to work with you guys and make sure your athletes still have a good opportunity to compete. So as long as they can return at some point, they can make up those bowling games. If you missed a week or two and then you bowl 4 games the next 2 weeks to make up those scores, we'll definitely work with you guys on that. But that will just be for COVID-related absences. If an athlete just misses practice, that will be that average minus 10 points score to go in that week. Does that make sense? Okay.
And then the last piece I wanted to make a note of, if somebody were to have gone to a practice and then later test positive, then you would need to contact the people that you have on your check-in list. So the reason why you do that check-in list is obviously to double check symptoms and to make sure that everybody is at that point healthy enough to participate, but you also have the information of who was at that practice, so you can inform them that they've been if they've been in that practice with that athlete, they've been in close contact. And again, the recommendations come off of a lot of what the CDC recommends, which would be that they would then they would not be in person, or really they're supposed to quarantine for that 2-week time period, and that's from the date of exposure. So that's where it makes it easier for canceling practice for 2 weeks, because if you have practice once a week, you would just cancel the next 2 practices because your exposure date would be the last practice that you held. So since that has come up, I just wanted to make sure that we shared that and people had a good understanding of what that would be. So does anybody have any questions about what to do if somebody tests positive, either at practice or away from practice, or anything like that, anything that we just had gone over? All right.
We are working on the one pager. It probably won't be ready by the time we send out the follow-up email, but when that is ready, it'll definitely be posted on the website, and we can share that as well, especially seeing that we're not meeting for a couple weeks.
Thanks, Brittany. Yeah, and again, a reminder that none of that information that we shared is new, but we just want to make it so it's in one spot and available, so that you can share that with your coaches or your families, so they have an understanding with that as well. And again, remember, just to, all of this stuff seems strict, but again, it's just all for the safety of our athletes and to make sure that we can continue to practice and participate safely. So I appreciate everybody, again, with what you're already doing, but I also appreciate if that situation comes up, following those things and really being safe and thinking about that. So the last thing I have on my list from the sports side of things is some somewhat general updates from what was talked about last week as far as skills go, basketball goes. We'll send more information, final information, but just some things that came up that we wanted to touch base with the group. So again, what we mentioned when somebody had asked, I think Zachary asked, or no, Jake asked last week about our last meeting about basketball. We are leaning and planning towards more of a skills format, and that includes a higher level skills for team basketball athletes that are designed to be above and beyond what our level 2 skills is. And the time frame that we're still looking at having these competitions would be about the similar time frame, the February-March dates that we would have for basketball skills or team basketball. I will say a lot of this stuff is dependent on venues. What we are finding, and I don't know, those of you who have been trying to do, like, especially volleyball skills, venues aren't guaranteed anymore. A lot of schools are saying, yeah, we have you penciled in, but we're not renting anymore right now, and we'll let you know when we're allowed to rent to outside groups and all of that type of stuff. So I guess be aware of that. We understand that happens, and we're dealing with the same situations. I got an email last week about a venue that just basically said, reach back out to me when you get closer, which I think is what we're going to get from a lot of places. So I don't know, has anybody experienced that where they've had issues getting venues at this point for practices for any sports, especially indoor sports?
Yes, we've already found out that one of our basketball sites will not be available at all for this entire school year. And
Thanks,
possibly
Linda.
one of our sites for swimming, soccer, track, bocce.
Yeah, and I know the good news. I mean, the good news is that a lot can change before we get to some of these other sports like swimming and track. But I do know basketball. I know that got mentioned in an email earlier today that it comes up pretty quickly, and so I know there are some people who would start normally practicing the end of November and December. And so if you think you already have a venue, it's probably very wise to double check with them and make sure that everything's good there. Obviously, we've been asking for people to do the safety protocol with the venues as well. But So Bob Ziegler sent me a message too that they're working with the school district, and there's new safety protocol, so it may delay when practice may be able to start. So that's very understandable. I also know that your practice schedule may change a little bit. That was, I think, another thing that was brought up because bowling is a little bit later this year. Again, that's something to consider with your planning on some of those type of things. So that's that's kind of what's been coming up for basketball skills. We will be sending out some more information about what that season will actually look like once we can get some things confirmed on our end, as well as any of the new changed rules that we would have for basketball skills. But for right now, that's kind of where we're standing for the basketball season, since that's the next one coming up.
Looks like Zachary had his hand up. Zach, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, my question is, so like, does that mean we don't have, with COVID and stuff, we don't have like to worry about free strikes? We wouldn't be able to participate in that sport?
Free
As
strike
far,
for bowling?
are you
For,
talking
like,
about not making it to
for all
3
the games.
weeks for bowling?
For all the games.
For all the games. So if you miss, then that's what they were talking about, was that it's your average minus 10. What's the maximum? Hey, bowling. Sorry that I had this on top of my head. Bowling SRT. What's the maximum amount of weeks you can miss?
I don't think we ever ended up putting a cap on it. I would need to go back and double check the rules, but I don't think we did.
Yeah, I don't know. Zachary, are you talking about like maybe a specific rule for your agency where if you missed 3 times that you weren't allowed to bowl anymore?
No, they said that was with, like, that's the Special Olympic rules. That if we miss games or practice, we would be disqualified, I guess. That's what they said to us during every game we have and stuff. They're like, you have, like, if you can't make the games and stuff, we could tell like it's like an excuse that you could go, but also you had like only free strikes, and you would be like disqualified because you didn't show up to practice.
Okay.
I think, Zachary, is that Kelly's rule that she has for your team?
Oh, I didn't know that. She just told us, all our coaches on Washara, she said that that it was the Special
Yeah.
Olympics rules. We didn't make this up or anything. So
Yeah. Okay.
We
And-
didn't either.
Well, and I also know, I mean, I guess the feed into that question, normally if you were to miss regional bowling, you wouldn't be able to advance onto state bowling. And since it's a longer league and it's multiple weeks, we do have an understanding that things come up and sometimes they wouldn't be able to meet.
And Zachary, there's certain agencies that create certain rules because they sometimes have problems with athletes not showing up, and then they just expect that they can move on. And so it's perfectly within the right for Kelly or any of the other agencies to come up with rules that they put on top of our rules to make sure that the athletes are attending practice on a regular basis. Because it's not fair to the athletes that do attend on a regular basis if there's only a limited number of spots that can move on. I see Brenda shaking her head.
okay, yeah, I was just double checking that because I thought that was our rules, but then they're like, no, we have the Special Olympic. That was the Special Olympic rules. We didn't make this. You can't be complaining about that to us and stuff like that.
I agree with that rule only because my son is in a big agency, West Madison, and we do have culprits or athletes that just don't show up just don't show up, but expect to be able to be the starting player on the basketball team kind of thing. So I think it's fair to make some kind of guidelines to being present, or at least having present a reason for not being there. Sometimes there should be some leniency, but you skip half the practices is not fair to the ones that are there every single week. And as a parent who has to drive in to Madison from an outside village, and I stay there. I solely support that.
Looks like Mike also had his hand up.
Yeah,
Mike?
Mike, do you have something outside of what you shared for basketball?
Yeah, I was just gonna say to you that the venue that we practice at, we go through the Menominee School District, and that's where we practice. But is it up to the original school district to say yes or no?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the school districts have gotten really strict, and some of them have gotten it where they're not allowing outside groups to come in. So it's perfectly within their right to say that they're not allowing teams to practice there because of COVID. And so then that's where, again, agencies will have the choice to find a new venue or choose not to participate because of that. And that's what I was saying on our end too. We're realizing not only from an agency perspective, but also booking events perspective, that we're not getting a lot of like 100% yeses. We're either getting yeah, possibly, or no, not at this point. So there is a possibility that they would come back and say no.
Because we have done that in the past with them, and we haven't had any issues. But when weather conditions deteriorate, then they cancel practice.
Yep. And this year's just a little different for everything. So like I said, it could be another reason for them not to allow you guys in. But obviously, your agency should keep working with them, and they should be able to give you yes or no, and if yes, what you need to do in order to be able to use their facility. So.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Brittany, I've talked too much.
Jake, did you have a quick question before I go? You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, has my agency manager requested for basketball skills yet?
Well, we haven't sent out our intent to play, so we're not sure what any agency is doing yet. But that'll be coming out soon, very, very soon. So we'll find out.
Okay.
I just have a few things related to health and fitness. One is, I've mentioned it before, but we finally have our resources from SONA about they're calling it a Stride Challenge. It's basically a distance challenge, and I'm actually going to share my screen really fast because they came up with a really great website. So it's the Special Olympics North America Stride Challenge. You can walk, run, or roll if you're in a wheelchair between October 19th and December 13th, and try to accumulate as many miles as you can. It is through North America, so you will sign up on this website, and I'll share it in the follow-up email. So I encourage all you coaches to share with your athletes. And you can also sign up as a unified pair. So check out the website to do that. I'm just going to scroll down a bit to show you what's all involved. So like I mentioned, it's about an 8-week-long challenge for any Special Olympics athlete or unified pair. You can register. There's all these links on here. I'm still kind of learning it myself, so I'm not quite fluent in the challenge yet, but I will be. If you are familiar with the Strava app, you can use that to track your miles, or you can just write them down and record it in a survey later. You don't have to have a fancy schmancy app to do it. I'm still learning how to use the Strava app myself, so I will learn right alongside you guys. Obviously, there's this register for the challenge button. It should be relatively simple. And then download the Strava app. And I actually there was a video that showed me how to do it. That was really helpful. And then once you are part of the Strava app, you would join I Made Us. Don't worry, we're on here. I Made Us a group, so you can join our state as well as the SONA challenge. So we'll have kind of our own internal Wisconsin challenge as well as the bigger SONA challenge. And then obviously they want you to share everything you're doing on social media, which we will be too, as part of the Fitness at Home Facebook group, and probably also through our other social media challenges. So there's lots of stuff on here, guidelines, resources, and everything you possibly need. So I will share this link with everyone in the follow-up email. The other thing, let me pull up my list here. Registration starts, I should say for that, registration starts October 7th, so I don't think it's quite live yet. But feel free to check out the website ahead of time and kind of familiarize yourself with everything. And please push it out to athletes. I know a lot of our athletes, there are some that are back in sports and doing things, but a lot are at home, hopefully not doing nothing, but this is a great way to kind of get all of our athletes involved in doing something. And you don't need any equipment, you can just get out and walk. So hopefully everybody can partake. The other thing I wanted to mention, kind of for my partner in crime, Missy, who's not on the call today, but she wanted me to mention that the SO Gives Athlete a Smile Day is coming up. So it is a free dental care for all of our SOE athletes. It is Friday, November 13th from 8 to 2 at Warren Family Dental, which is in Madison. You can call or email Missy to set up an appointment. And priority will be given to athletes that have a dental need. They'll be doing things like cleaning, fillings, extractions, even root canals. And the great thing is it's all free. So I will share all of that information in the follow-up email as well, so you don't have to write it down really fast. But Missy will be your main contact for that if you want to set up an appointment for any of your athletes. And then lastly, I've been working with a group out of the Concordia Physical Therapy Department. They're going to be creating some resources for us, and they just had a quick survey that they wanted to ask. I think it's like maybe 8 questions, and that includes your name and what sport you coach. So it's a very short survey, but they just wanted some information on things that you guys want and what you need, so that they can create some awesome resources for us. So I will be sharing that in the follow-up email as well. So if you could please fill that out, it'd help them out a lot. And that's all I had. That was pretty quick. Any questions related to anything that either I just discussed or maybe have discussed in the past with health and fitness? Jake, you want to unmute yourself?
Is there a rule that I cannot join another agency for another sport, like bowling, for example?
I'm not, I honestly am not familiar with this. Jason?
If your agency is not offering a sport, you are able to join another agency, but it's up to the agency's discretion to have you join. So if your agency is currently choosing not to do bowling, connect with your athletic director, Nicole, and she'll be able to try to let you know what programs are offering it, and then if the agency is able to add you, they would. So.
And then Mike Schultz just gave me an excellent reminder to remind everyone that the virtual run series is starting this Saturday. So if you haven't already, you should check that out. You can sign up for 1 week, or there are 4 different weeks. So you can sign up for 1, 2, 3, or all 4. We have a lot of different teams already established, or you could make your own team. I have a team through the Fitness at Home group, so you're welcome to join my team. But yeah, great reminder, Mike, thanks.
And I see in the chat, Shirley is asking about the October 10th competition in Neenah. If we're still having it, if so, please give more info. I know we have 8 total athletes registered between punt, pass, and kick, and cornhole. We are monitoring the numbers and all of that, so we're going to make a safe decision on that. But at this point, it's still on at this point. So we'll continue to provide more information as we get that. So, but thanks for asking on that sort of thing. So. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, again, thanks everybody for joining us again tonight. And then reminder again, as we discussed, the next meeting won't be for 3 weeks, so October 22nd. But that week that we would normally have our meeting, feel free to make sure to get athletes and families involved in our virtual celebration ceremony, especially for those agencies who had participated in the fall outdoor season. We are excited about some of those activities and are excited to share that with you. But otherwise, have a good few weeks. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us directly or the COVID email at covid@specialolympicswisconsin.org. And then we will be sending out some of that additional information to coaches with a recap from everything for tonight. So thanks, everybody.